Welcome everyone. I'm so excited that you were able to join me today for this bullet journaling and goal setting class. My name is Kaylin and I blog at kaylinbrook.com where I teach women just like you how to simplify your life so that you can focus on your top priorities over the pressure to do it all. All my articles and resources will take you on a 3-step process to declutter your home and schedule, build doable systems and routines, and then live intentionally according to those priorities that you set up. Priorities is a huge buzzword for me. We've got a lot to talk about today, but I want to cover first 2 housekeeping items. Number 1 is you should have received a printable workbook that accompanies this class in your email when you signed up. I hope you printed it out, but if you didn't, don't worry. You can just grab a notebook and take some notes. But I do want you to go back to it later because we have a homework assignment that's going to help you get the most out of this class. And if you check your email and you can't find it, let me know, Kaylin at kaylinbrook.com, and I'd be happy to send you a copy. Secondly, if you have any questions that pop up while we're going through the material, I want to make sure I get those answered. I'm only able to answer a few of the most common questions that I receive at the end for the sake of time, and I want to be respectful of your time. But if you have a specific question for me, email me again, Kaylin at kaylinbrook.com, and for the spelling, I will have a slide at the end that will have that listed out so you don't have to worry about it going into cyberspace somewhere. So, now that that's taken care of, let's dive into this material. I'll load up my slides and we'll get started. Let me just give you a little bit of background about myself. So I am originally from upstate New York, but my husband Joseph and I took the ultimate decluttering leap, selling our 1,700 square foot home and buying an RV so that we could live a more minimalist lifestyle. We currently travel full time along with our 2 very mischievous bunnies, Cody and Cinder. And of course, I am in my bullet journal every single day, multiple times a day. It's how I keep my life so organized and am able to stay on top of my goals and get the most important things, those priorities, absolutely conquered. It is literally my second brain, and I can't wait to share more about how you can use your bullet journal intentionally, particularly in setting goals and totally crushing them, which is a topic of this class today. If you don't currently bullet journal or know how the system works, that's okay because we're going to do a brief overview in just a minute, but you are still going to get a ton out of this class and what I have to share because you can apply what I'm about to teach you with any planning system that you use. I just happen to love and prefer bullet journaling because it's so customizable to each individual. Here's a quick look at what we are going to learn today. 1, why bullet journaling is the only planning tool capable of supporting a personalized, goal-crushing system. This system trumps every other planner in the market, and I hope that by the end of our time together, you are going to fall in love with bullet journaling just as much as I have. We're also going to talk about how to set strategic goals that are both actionable and achievable. We have to get extremely specific if we are going to measure our progress and get the results that we really want. Which leads me into the number 1 mistake people make that derails your progress. See, when we set goals, there's one more step that people tend to forget about, but after this class, you are never going to forget to do this. Lastly, we'll end with a simple way to move forward when you lose momentum or hit an unexpected roadblock, because there is no perfect path to achieve your goals, and you're going to find yourself fighting against time, distractions, energy levels, and just not wanting to do what you plan to do. That is life, but I'm going to give you one very simple tip to keep you going and moving forward. Now let's talk about bullet journaling for just a minute before we get into the goal setting stuff. Bullet journaling in its most simplistic form is an all-in-one planning tool, calendar, and task management system inside a blank notebook. So this is not a pre-designed planner where you ultimately have to squeeze your schedule and how your brain works into a product that someone else has designed. You get to create and customize your own system that supports everything you do on a monthly, weekly, and daily basis. Now, to keep things organized inside this notebook, what you do is number every single page. Some notebooks actually come with pre-numbered pages, which is such a time saver, and then you create what is called an index. This can be in the front or in the back of your notebook. You can kind of think of this as your table of contents for your journal so that no matter what you write inside, you can then record it in your index with the corresponding page number, and that way you can easily reference anything you need. So what sort of things do you put inside a bullet journal? There are 4 major categories. Number 1, you've got regular planning pages. You can set up an entire month inside your journal along with any goals or tasks that you want to accomplish for that month. You can set this up in one of 2 ways. So a bullet journal purist is going to go for the linear monthly log, which you can see on the left, but you could also draw out a normal grid log like you see in most planners. You can also set up your current week with all the appointments and tasks you're juggling that week, or you can break down that week even further by setting up each day individually with its corresponding tasks. Because there's no boxy layout with those limits, you have lots of room to jot down notes or extra things you're tracking. Like here, you'll see I'm using a time bar to keep track of when I want to complete certain tasks. The next category is a favorite part of bullet journaling, list making. I used to have sticky notes everywhere and multiple notebooks just filled with random information. Nothing was organized. I could never find what I needed. Now I keep everything inside this one notebook, my bullet journal. You can do packing lists, wish lists, lists of house, or I'm looking at RV projects right now. It's all organized in one place. The third category are memories. If you want to truly live with intention, keeping track of your memories and having space to do so is such a great way to use your journal. Sometimes I'll create a memory page for a busy month, or if something fun happened on a specific day, I'll draw a little doodle to commemorate what exactly happened. And finally, the fourth category is personal growth, especially goal setting, which is the category we are going to focus on for this class. With previous planners, I was reaching hardly any of my goals. There was no space to track daily habits like make my bed, work out, or do a 10-minute evening pickup, which is huge in approaching each day with intention and just generally staying on top of things. There were no pages to break down the steps to meet a big goal and no way to track my progress weekly. Other planners just didn't cut it and were not helping me become the person that I truly wanted to be. But bullet journaling, it changed all of that. And ever since I picked up my first pen and notebook, I have been absolutely fascinated by the power and possibilities of this system, and that is my hope for you too. So let's zoom back out and start talking specifically about goals. Every single goal that you have starts with a desire to work out more, or eat healthier, or declutter your home, or maintain a clean home consistently. But desire alone is not enough. As much as I wish my home would magically clean itself, it doesn't. I have to physically clean my home to reach my desire of maintaining a clean home consistently. Which brings me to one of my favorite quotes by Henry Ford. You can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. In other words, desire is the start of change, and you need desire to keep you going when you're tempted to quit. But even though we know what we want to do and we've got that desire to do it, we don't necessarily know how to get there, which is why our very first step is to turn our desire into a goal. It's really easy to confuse desires and goals because on the surface they sound essentially like the same thing. But a goal is going to be a lot more achievable in the end if you go one step further and make it SMART. And that's action step number 1. Create a SMART goal. The SMART method has been around since the 1980s, and it's a pretty popular acronym, so you've probably heard it before. But it's always good to review because I often find myself setting goals that are not SMART, and then I wonder why I never reach them. Basically, a SMART goal means your goal is specific, so it's not a broad desire. It's measurable, meaning there has to be a way to track your progress. It's attainable or achievable. My fellow overachievers, you know how difficult this one is. It needs to be relevant, so ask yourself, does this goal line up with your long-term desire and vision, or is it a goal that I think I should be doing? And then lastly, make sure it is time-bound. You have to give your goal a time frame, which is maybe every day or in 2 weeks, in 3 months, etc. Let me show you how this works in a practical example. Before, I mentioned the desire to maintain a clean home consistently, but now that we know that is not an actual goal or even a SMART goal, so to make it SMART, we need to make it specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So if we set a goal to clean all the main areas of your home in 10 days, that is extremely specific, and we've also assigned a time limit to it. It's also very attainable because maybe those of you who work full-time might not be able to fit every single cleaning task you need to do within 1 week. But we're not done here. Even though we've specified our goal, we still have to design our personalized roadmap to accomplish it. I like to compare each individual goal to reaching the top of a mountain. I mentioned before how I grew up in New York State and I love hiking, especially in the Adirondacks. Whether I tackled a small mountain or a big one, the end goal or outcome is to make it to the summit so you can celebrate all your hard work and take in that gorgeous view as a reward. But you have to get there first, and reaching that goal sometimes feels like a jumbled mess of rocks. You wonder when you'll ever get to the top, or maybe you hit a rough patch and you actually consider turning back. But if you focus on one foot in front of the other, step by step, you will eventually get there. It doesn't matter how fast you go, just as long as you keep going and do not give up. And that's action step number 2. We have to break down our goal into easy action steps so it is measurable and allows you to make consistent progress. Let's go back to our cleaning example. To break down our goal of cleaning the main areas of your home every 10 days, we would need to make a list of cleaning tasks that should be completed during that time frame. So the guest bath, master bath, living room carpet, hardwood floors, etc. However, knowing what you need to do and doing is not the same thing. Most of us fail at this execution phase because we're missing one very important key component that will keep us on the path of continual progress towards that goal. Remember, commitment and desire are only going to take you so far. A system is what will help you reach the end, and that is action step number 3. You must create a system to bridge the connection between starting a goal and totally nailing it. Let's follow our cleaning example through to the end and see what a possible system would look like for this goal. Because maintaining a clean home consistently was actually one of my desires a couple of years ago, and I failed miserably at it until I made it a SMART goal, broke it down into those achievable action steps, and implemented the exact system I'm about to show you using none other than my bullet journal. First, I created a cleaning schedule layout inside my journal. So down the left-hand side, you'll see a list of all my cleaning tasks that I want to get done. And while I have the time frame spanning an entire month, it's also broken down into 10-day sections so I could chart my progress in a more realistic way. Looking at this layout, you will see I am definitely not perfect. I didn't even vacuum the guest room at all that month. I completely missed cleaning the master bath in the middle of the month. But you know what? Having this layout has helped me accomplish more cleaning tasks consistently than I ever did before. But the system, it doesn't stop there. Whereas my monthly cleaning layout is a way for me to track my progress, I could easily forget about it unless I add those cleaning tasks somewhere where I'm going to see and actually do them, like on my weekly planning layout. I added a specific cleaning section to this page with at least 3 tasks to accomplish that week. To help me decide which cleaning tasks I wanted to tackle, I just look back at my monthly layout to see what's left to do. I hope you're starting to see how this works. After you create your goal and define your action steps, you must incorporate them into your monthly, weekly, and daily layouts so you always remember them. Let me show you another practical example with more of a project rather than habit-based goal. For years, one of my desires was to have a completely organized craft closet. But that is a huge undertaking because even though I occasionally do some DIY, I mostly just hoard craft supplies. Besides, organizing the craft closet wasn't really a SMART goal because it was so broad, and as a result, I didn't do anything for 2 full years after I made that goal. It wasn't until I narrowed down my focus to just those gift wrapping supplies and created a SMART goal that I made any progress. Somehow that small part felt way more doable than the entire closet. I also made it time-bound by establishing it as one of my monthly projects. To break that goal down into achievable action steps, I first created a project page in my bullet journal that listed exactly what I needed to do, and then I sketched out my vision of what the final area in my closet would look like. Again, I went a step further and created that system by adding at least 1 to 2 tasks from my project page to each week until I completed the project. This particular weekly layout, you will see I needed to prime and paint the crate that I wanted to attach to the wall for my wrapping paper. And before I knew it, the goal was accomplished and brought me one step closer to my desire of having an organized craft closet, which I finally finished this year just before we sold our house, so go figure. Now, sometimes you have a SMART goal that's more of a maintenance type goal, and it doesn't necessarily need to be broken down. For instance, let's say if you want to make your bed every day, and that's something you want to instill as a daily habit. It's already a SMART goal because, number one, you know exactly what you want to do, you know when you want to do it, and it's pretty achievable, but you still need that system component. For everyday maintenance type tasks, I like to use a habit tracker, which helps keep track of all my daily goals. You could set this up via a monthly habit tracker, or you could scale it down and keep track of your habits on a weekly layout and then change them up every single week. Either way, I highly recommend that you track a max of 8 habits per day, and even then, I find most success when I only focus on 3, because once those habits become actual habits, and that means you don't really have to think about them anymore, you just do it, then you can stack more habits on top of the ones you're already successful with, and it will be a ton easier. Before we move on, here's a quick recap of this 3-step process. Remember, you start with a desire, which needs to be turned into a SMART goal, which most likely needs to be broken down, but not always, as we just saw, and then you create a system to execute and help you reach that goal. And you can do this with absolutely anything. Let's quickly go over just a few more examples before we move on, because if you're anything like me, you love seeing how other people reach their goals. One of my readers, Christine, had a desire to read more intentionally. So what she did is make a SMART goal by creating a list of 19 books that she wanted to read in a year. In her monthly layout, she established a system by choosing which books she wanted to read that month and broke it down even further by creating a smaller goal of 40 pages per week. Claire wanted to buy a new iPad, and her SMART goal was to save 20% of any money that she earned towards this iPad until that goal was met. In her bullet journal, she created a savings jar tracker that she could color in every time she saved a specific amount to keep track of her progress. It also served as a visual motivator towards her goal. Miley loves taking online courses, and she sees it as a way to improve her life by learning new skills. Her SMART goal is to work on 2 courses per month and keep track of her progress in her bullet journal. Each day she tries to do a lesson or part of a lesson during breakfast or after the kids are in bed. And then when she finishes one lesson, she colors in that unit in her tracker and moves on to the next one. Now that you've seen all these different examples, it's your turn, aka homework time. In your printable workbook, you had an assignment to assess the different areas of your life and choose your top 3 goals. If you didn't do this yet, don't worry, it's still a really good exercise to go through so you can decide where to focus your efforts. But right now, I want you to go back to those goals that you wrote down and be truly honest with yourself. Is it a SMART goal? If not, rewrite each of them until it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Then break each goal down into action steps and create a system in your bullet journal to help you achieve that goal. One last thing. While the excitement of setting new goals is contagious and you'll probably make a ton of progress within the first couple of weeks, the reality is there will be days you don't want to do anything to reach that goal. You just won't feel like it, or you'll hit a roadblock and really wonder if it's worth pursuing. So I want to challenge you to think, what can I do today to reach that goal? What is one little step I can take that will move me further up that mountain so I can get to the top? Remember what I said before, it doesn't matter how fast you go, it's about consistency, and consistent action is what turns your dreams and goals into reality. Most of the class today has focused on goal setting, but like I mentioned earlier, bullet journaling doesn't just help you achieve your goals. You can keep track of your calendar, to-do lists, ideas that randomly pop into your head, and notes from books and articles you've read, podcasts you've listened to, or a class you attended just like this one, all in one notebook. It is the tool that helps me continually make progress towards a more intentional, organized life. And when something isn't working, or my schedule is different, or my life changes, like our decision to downsize into an RV, I can adapt my journal to support me in every way. For example, I've already switched up my cleaning schedule to accommodate this smaller space, and no other planner in the world has the capability to do that. If you do a quick Google or Pinterest search, you'll find a lot of information about bullet journaling online. But when I first started, there was no downloadable resource that shares everything you need to know step by step. I spent 2 whole years experimenting and figuring out things on my own, and I've compiled everything you need to know about this system in one comprehensive guide called BrainBook: Bullet Journaling Your Way to a More Organized Life. BrainBook is especially geared towards women who are serious about getting their life in order, but are frustrated by the limitations of their current planner. If you ever wish you had more space, could customize each month, week, or day to your exact needs, were able to keep all your notes and lists in one place instead of scattered everywhere or in your purse, then you're ready for bullet journaling. And if you're ready for bullet journaling, then you're ready for BrainBook. BrainBook will cover in detail exactly what steps you need to take to set up a personalized bullet journaling system that will help you stay on top of your most important responsibilities. You're going to learn how to focus on function first, making sure that your journal supports everything you need it to without getting distracted by perfectionism or Instagram-worthy photos. There's even a whole section devoted to embracing and covering up your mistakes. I'm going to teach you how to get past the oops without wanting to tear out the entire page. My friend Jackie immediately started her first bullet journal after reading BrainBook. She has always liked to plan ahead and make lists, but never found a planner that worked for her because her needs are constantly changing as a small business owner and mom. She says BrainBook finally brings that creativity and freedom that I need to a planner. One of Jackie's goals was to complete a Whole30 program. Using BrainBook, she set up her journal and created a layout of favorite meals and healthy snacks to eat throughout that month. But even more than that, she implemented a system. She referenced her list of meals when setting up her weekly layout and created a meal plan for the entire week. You can see her plan here at the bottom of the page. She also went one step further and added a no eating out habit to her monthly habit tracker, since it's harder to comply with Whole30 when you're at a restaurant, and she didn't want to be tempted to quit before she completed the program. After the program was finished, Jackie had this to say about her goal. I would not have survived Whole30 without my bullet journal. And that sense of accomplishment is my hope for you too. That you will not just find freedom in bullet journaling when it comes to everyday planning, but also when it comes to planning and organizing your entire life. I want you to reach the dreams and goals you're excited about, and I want you to see positive change and personal growth. But you're going to need a planning system to support you, and I will teach you everything you need to know on how to set one up with BrainBook. This digital PDF guide is a total of 116 jam-packed pages, including setup checklists, beginner tutorials, and advanced tips and tricks. I just don't show you how to set up your journal, I show you how to set up your journal for success and maintaining it going forward. Now, if you're like me and you think you're not creative enough to bullet journal or don't have enough time to dedicate to this, let me first say that you can make your bullet journal as simple or as complicated as you like. Some weeks when I have more time, I'll bling out my bullet journal a little bit more with color and stickers and doodles, but most of the time I draw up something super simple and focus on quick lists to get what I need to done. Here's an example of a simple layout that I fall back on over and over again, and it literally takes me 10 minutes to set up. However, I have 2 additional bonuses I want to give you that will help you express your creativity and save you time. The first bonus is Doable Designs, the Creative BrainBook Companion Guide. This guide offers plenty of fun doodles and lettering you can easily recreate, including simple header ideas that will add flair to your titles whenever you want to exercise your creative muscles and improve that skill. You can even print out the designs, lay them under your paper, and trace them. You don't even have to know how to draw. Bonus number 2 is 11 printable bullet journaling layouts. You can print these templates on sticker paper and trim to fit inside a regular notebook, or you can hole punch these layouts to put inside a disc-bound or ring-bound system. Even though one of the key elements of bullet journaling is customizability, I know that sometimes it's difficult to get past your first few blank pages. So these layouts are going to give you inspiration and ideas on how to start. And then I also have a third bonus for you. You get to join our members-only Facebook group where you can ask questions, chat with other bullet journaling fans, and share your own BrainBook pages. Everyone is going to set up their layouts in different ways, so it's really fun to just gather ideas and make them your own. The entire package that includes BrainBook and the 3 bonuses I just mentioned is valued at $59. But for 3 days only, I am giving this to you for just $17. The offer does not last forever though, so if you're ready to take back your time, your life, your schedule starting today, grab your BrainBook package right now and you can get some inspirational reading done before bed tonight and begin creating your bullet journal as soon as you find a blank notebook to use. Hopefully you're seeing this offer pop up on the screen for you to access your package. Once you click on that button, you'll be directed to the product page where you can click I want this, and then a checkout box will pop up next with a spot for you to complete this process via credit card or PayPal. An email containing the BrainBook PDF guide and your bonuses will be sent automatically. And as always, I do offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not happy with BrainBook for any reason, email me for a full refund, no questions asked. All right, before I wrap up, I want to address just a couple of the most common questions that I get about bullet journaling. Questions that you might be asking yourself right now. Number 1, how do you know how to organize your bullet journal? Do you organize it by sections, set up a few months or weeks in advance? So here's my answer. If you're just starting out, I recommend setting up your bullet journal the traditional way, which is creating pages as you need them. This means you'll create a layout of whatever current month or week it is, turn to the next page when you're ready to set up the next week, and so on and so forth. As you think of the type of collections that you might want to add, say, a packing list for an upcoming trip, you just turn to the next available page and create one there, which immediately begs another question. How do you track upcoming events and appointments in the future? And for that, you can do one of 2 things. Set up a future log in your bullet journal, which lists the next 6 months on a 2-page spread, and jot down big dates when you know about them. Or, and this is what I do, you can rely on an app like Google Calendar, which will sync with other members' phones in your household. I also really like the digital nature of this calendar, so I can easily change things around, but for my current monthly, weekly, and daily planning, I'm analog all the way. If you don't like the idea of your collections interspersed with your planning pages, then another option is to add those collections to the back of your bullet journal and work your way forward. When you meet your planning pages, then you know it's time to migrate to a new notebook. Another question I get is, will bullet journaling work for me as a perfectionist? If I make a mistake, I would want to tear out every page. And I get you. I call myself a recovering perfectionist because I'm really trying to work on it, but have not arrived yet. There have been so many times when I royally screw up a page, absolutely hate it, and yes, sometimes I do tear it out. Even when you do that in a bound notebook, other pages have the potential to fall out as well, which is not good at all. So here's what I would do. First, lower your standards just a little bit. I know it's hard, but if it helps, buy a cheap notebook to start and use a cheap pen. This is going to take away some of that initial pressure to create perfect pages. Another thing you can do if you make a mistake and can't deal with it, washi tape covers a multitude of sins. I even think the page looks better with a little bit of washi design on it too. Third, you could use a disc-bound notebook, which is similar to a 3-ring notebook, but folds back on itself, which is really cool. The pages pop in and out easily, and if you mess one up, you can easily start fresh on a new page without tearing it out of an actual notebook. Which leads me to the last question I want to cover, and that is, what type of notebook should I use? There are pros and cons to both a bound notebook like the Leuchtturm 1917 and a disc-bound notebook. I personally like using a bound notebook, as I call it my first line of defense, so it holds everything I need to plan and is super easy to write in. I also love that I don't need to worry about where to organize my pages. I just turn to that next page and create the layout that I need. A disc-bound notebook is great though, because if you do want to organize your pages more thoroughly and have like months in different sections, this allows you to do this in a much easier way. It's also easier to use the printables that are provided as one of the bonuses, because you can just print them out, punch and insert into this kind of notebook, and then your structure is already there. After 3, almost 4 years of bullet journaling, I found that I like to use a combination of both. So the bound journal is for my everyday planning, and then if there's a collection that I want to keep long term, I will add it to the disc-bound notebook instead of transferring it to a new bound journal. Either way you choose, you want to make sure the pages are going to be thick enough that your pen won't bleed through. And while the dot grid design that you've probably seen everywhere is not totally necessary, I find it really helps if you're drawing boxes and lines for your layouts, so to have like some grid in place to help you with that. That's all the time I have for now, but if you had any questions that didn't get answered, please email me, Kaylin@KaylinBrook.com, and I will get back to you personally. It can be about anything we talked about in this class, about BrainBook and what it includes, or even about a goal that you're thinking of setting and you're not sure how to reach it. We can kind of brainstorm together. Just as a reminder, this BrainBook offer is only good for the next few days. So if you are interested in taking advantage of that and adopting the bullet journaling system, this is going to change your life truly. I cannot wait to have you get it in your hands and then join me in the Facebook group where I can guide you on your own journey. Well, that's it for now. Thanks so much for joining me and hanging out with me today. I really enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.